So hi everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Dr. Mike Gorman. I am the owner of Gorman Optimal Health, so welcome if you're not familiar. And so, just wanted to introduce our dear friend, and we call her the relationship expert, Stacey Martino. But I just wanted to give a little background. You know, one of the things that I love is my vision for this office is to not just deal with physical things, but we talk about holistic approach. We talk about physical, mental, emotional. The number one, or number two things that people come in and complain to me about are typically financial problems and relationship problems. And so a lot of times I say, well, we can help you with your stress, we can help you with things, but I've got the right person when it comes to dealing with some relationship things. And we've been blessed enough, this is my wife, Kim Gorman, and we were blessed enough that, I guess it was about 7 years ago, we met through a mutual friend, Joel, and as a result just kind of hit it off, and it's one of those people that you meet that you just feel like, wait, when did we ever not know each other? You know, it's like my long-lost brother and soul sister, right? So, so feel very blessed to have gotten to know them so well, and some of our best friends in our life, so we appreciate them. So Kim's going to tell you a little bit about Stacey's background.
Hello. Okay, so Stacey Martino helps people who feel stuck, frustrated, and helpless with the challenges that intimate relationship brings. She firmly believes that it absolutely does not take two to tango. Her clients consistently prove that one person can transform a relationship in any relationship. Through targeted strategic coaching programs and live events for her relationship transformation system, Stacey empowers you to create your unshakable love and unleashed passion without needing your partner to participate in the process in order for you to get the results you want in your relationship. She's been trained and certified by Tony Robbins and Chloe Medanis. She's a certified marriage educator and divorce preventionist, an international best-selling author. She is a sought-after relationship expert appearing on numerous media outlets and telesummits. Stacey has been featured by Anthony Robbins, Your Tango, Blog Talk Radio, Bloomberg, Yahoo, QVC, and is the relationship expert for Aspire magazine.
Ooh, thank you. So thank you. I'm so glad to be here. It's true, like Mike says, Dr. Gorman is one of my closest friends on the planet. Mike and Kim were blessed to know them. And so when they asked me to come and share with you and basically teach, I was very, very grateful to be here. I am Stacey Martino, as they said, the founder of Love and Passion Coach and the creator of the Relationship Transformation System, together with my husband, Paul. And it's our mission to empower people to create your unshakable love and unleash passion. That's what we do. And we do firmly believe that it only takes one person to transform a relationship. Everything that we do is strategically designed for one person to shift the relationship. And we're going to talk about that today. Because I do believe that you are here because you're ready for a change. You want more, right? We get to a certain place in a relationship and we're like, is this all there is? That I was supposed to look different than this. I want more. And so you're ready for that deeper love, that unshakable love, and that unleashed passion. And the great thing is that you can create it much faster than you think. And the best part about that is you don't need your partner to jump on board and have to do this with you to get the results that you want to see in your relationship. Because that's really what keeps most people stuck, is that their partner doesn't necessarily want to do the thing or read the book or go to the seminar or watch the videos. The partner doesn't necessarily want to do that. In most cases they don't. And that keeps really good people, like good big-hearted people, stuck in a relationship that's not quite where they want it to be, but they feel like if my partner doesn't want to get involved, nothing can change for us, and I don't want to necessarily leave, or maybe I should leave, but there's so much pain that could come from that. I don't want to do that to us. And so really good people end up staying stuck, not doing anything about it, out of actually being good and taking the high road and saying, all right, well, you know, I've got my kids and I'll focus on that. I've got my business and my work. I'll just do that. I got this big project. I have so many other things in my life. That's, you know, we're good parents. We're good friends. I won't rock the boat. And really good people stay stuck in not so great situations And the truth is, they do that because so many people think that it does take two to tango, and that it takes two people to change a relationship. But the truth is it doesn't. And I'm here tonight to teach you our system, our 8-step formula for doing exactly that. So I'm going to teach you these 8 essentials, and I haven't been using my slides because I'm not used to using, and this is very large for a little hand. I should give this to you. My husband has great giant hands. I'm going to teach you these 8 essentials because I do believe that everyone deserves to create the relationship that makes your heart sing. That you shouldn't settle for less than you feel called to be, less than you thought it could be. Because the truth is, whatever you thought it could be, not only can it be that, it can be so much more than that, you have no idea. And so I'm going to share with you these 8 essentials today. And these 8 essentials, these are non-negotiable. This is not like an optional piece. It's really, you either have this and you're moving forward, or you don't. Having an unshakable love as your foundation to your relationship, where nothing and nobody can come between you, where no crisis or no stressor can unravel you, is not a negotiable or optional piece in a relationship. Because I'll tell you what, this is real life and it's moving. You can't like push the pause button on your relationship and say, I'm going to go learn this stuff, and then when I know it, I'll come back. It's moving. It's interacting with you. It's pushing your buttons all day, every day. This is in motion. And life is always going to throw you something, right? Some stressor, some crisis, a financial crisis, a health crisis, something with one of your kids, a job, there's a family member drama. There's always something that's going to come up and shake you. And unless you have that unshakable foundation together, where nothing and nobody's come in between the two of you, you're too vulnerable there. You can't make that. You won't get through all of them. Eventually, the stressor that's going to unravel you will find you. And then from that unshakable foundation is really where you can reach for the trust and vulnerability that it takes to have an unleashed passion, which is also not an optional piece. Many people, as we're going to talk about today, passion fizzles out, right? And you get through the motions, and you have this nice friendship, you're good parents together, you live together, but it's not hot. Like you lost that craving, that intensity and desire. And people think that that's just how it goes, right? But that's not how it goes. And the truth is that passion and lust and that energy is actually the life force of your relationship. And if you've lost it, if it's been fizzling, if it's gone, if it's long gone, your relationship is dying. Because that energy of lust and desire and passion, that's not just for sex. It will get you through a lot of things that are coming your way that people who are not having that energy for each other won't make it through. It really is the life force of your relationship. And so living without it is not an optional piece. And so I teach this tool. I'm a strategic coach, so I teach a lot of tools. And one of the tools I created was the salad or the garbage. And I'm going to ask you to decide which one are you, the salad or the garbage. Have you ever heard that old joke that says, what's the difference between salad and garbage? Time! So here's what I say. People come to me with all different types of relationship situations. We help people who are not in a relationship, right? They're what we call, some people refer to it as being single. I don't personally like that term. I like in transition. You're out of your last relationship, you're not yet in your next relationship, and during that time you want to get rid of some of the twists and turns and contorting to be something you're not, to help please somebody like you, or whatever happened, and get rid of some of the hurts and transform yourself, empower yourself. We help people in that situation. We help people who have fantastic relationships and know for sure they got to be taking it to the next level. Because as our dear friend Dr. Howie Cohen said the last time he was here, There's only one direction you can coast, and that's down. So if you have a great relationship, you always be taking it to the next level. We help people who are divorced or going through divorce, because if you have children, that relationship is never ending. You'll be co-parenting with that person until the day you take your last breath. That's not going anywhere. And so the relationship, if not the marriage, still needs to be rescued so that you can happily and peacefully co-parent. But the two groups of people that come to us the most fall into two categories. One are people who are in a loving and caring relationship, but the excitement has kind of faded over time. They're so busy with the kids and the jobs and the house and the parents and blah, 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 that it's just not fun. There's a lot of over-responsibility going on, not a lot of hot, crazy sex anymore, and it's just fizzled out over time. They could be still in love, but just not having the excitement, or really at this point, they could be at the point where they're really just co-parenting and friends, and there's not that much relationship between the two of them. And then the second category of people who come to us most often are what we refer to as hanging by a thread. Hanging by a thread is one or both people have their hand on the button. They're thinking about going. And if they're not thinking about going, they're wondering, can I really do this for another 50 years? How am I going to do this? I don't really want to live like this. And so one or both people are thinking about leaving. And in that situation, as we refer to as hanging by a thread, people very often seek us out. And so what I found is that most people think that the difference between the passionless relationship and the hanging by the thread relationship is like night and day, right? Like the Grand Canyon's difference between we're just not excited and hot for each other anymore, and one of us is thinking about leaving, right? Big gap. And what I say is, that's the same exact relationship. It's just a timing difference. Like the difference between salad and garbage. Because what happens over time is when you've lost that passion for each other, when you've lost that desire, when the life force of your relationship starts to leave your relationship, eventually what you do is you lead what we call parallel lives, where you're in the same home and you're in lives together, but you're going through the motions, trying not to bump into each other. Because when you do bump into each other, it's just a painful reminder of what you're sharing. Because in time, when you don't have intimacy with the only person you're allowed to have intimacy with, the pain and the rejection eventually turns into resentment and anger. And you end up trying to just not bump into that person and not create that painful reminder of what we're not having together. And that pain and resentment and anger builds until one day, the reason that you were staying together is no longer applicable or moves out of your house, and you look at that person and think, who the hell are you? Why am I still here? And can I really do this for another 40, 50 years? What am I doing? And then you realize, holy shit, I'm that other freaking garbage hanging by a thread category. And it's just a timing difference. And so that's why my husband and I are so passionate about passion. Helping people who have good relationships, who are good people, do the work to reignite the passion. And why I say it's more than sex, it's serious because your relationship depends on it. And so that's what I'm here today to talk to you about. But before I do, I want to bust some myths. I'm a little bit of a feather ruffler, kind of known for that. Got the jacket and the card-carrying member. And so one of the things I want to do is right up front bust some myths about relationship work and the work that we do and the 8 steps that I'm going to teach you tonight, the 8-step formula. Because one of the first myths that come up for people is that it takes 2 to tango, right? You both have to work at it. You both have to want it. You both have to be in it. My partner has to, I'm not going to do it. Why should I do it if he's not going to do it? He's not going to do it. Why should I do it? Everybody, we're like brainwashed into this takes 2 to tango. But here's the truth. It only takes one person to transform a relationship. Any relationship. And actually, we all already know that because we're doing it every day We just haven't had words for it before, and I'm going to give you an example. Have you ever been in like a mood where you're just having a great day? Like everything is going your way, you're rocking it, things are in the zone, you're feeling great, and you come home and there's no children here, right? And your partner's in a shit state. They're like, everything sucks for them, and this always happens to me, and this sucks, and this sucked, and this person's an asshole, and she's stupid too, and everything is terrible, and you're like, I was having a great day. And what happens to your state when you connect with them? Right? Right in the toilet. And then it goes to what? You always do this. I was having a great day, but you're so grumpy and I don't always do this. It's you. You always do this. You don't want to look at the real thing. No, it's not. You're always like that. And now it's back and forth, and it's about the two of you, when it wasn't even about the two of you. And the truth is, whether you like it or not, you are your partner's trigger. You're always triggering them, and they're triggering you. And you're triggering them, and they're triggering you. This is just how it works. And we think it's them. But we're constantly triggering each other. You do something, they're responding. They do something, you're responding. Always. And so all we're doing is taking advantage of that exact same dynamic and using it to your advantage by empowering you with the tools and strategies that work to trigger trigger the shit out of them, but trigger them into the response that you really want. What really works. Trigger the best out of them by understanding the tools and strategies that we're going to teach you tonight. And that's why we always say that one person can transform any relationship. Because when you shift how you're showing up, they have to shift in response. When you no longer respond the way you used to, they kind of can't keep playing the same pattern that you guys are used to playing out. And so I always say that, and now thousands of people around the world, all of our clients, prove it every single day. People who do our 8 steps where their partner never even knew they were doing it. I get emails and letters and calls and sometimes chocolate from people that I don't even know with a little card that says, whatever you're doing with my wife, here's a card, here's roses, here's chocolate, keep doing that. I don't know you. It only takes one person. There are times that people, both partners, want to participate. But what I always say, just to be very transparent, and which is why we usually ask people not to sit together when they're in a relationship, but we're not doing a workshop tonight, so it's fine. We don't do couples work at all. We don't do any couples work because couples work doesn't work. There's a reason why studies now show that over 75% of couples work is failing. And I would actually beg to say that it's more because they're headed in the wrong direction. But anyway, the reason is because when two people, you guys are familiar with states and vibration. You're in a great state, you're in a crap state. You get that, right? That's like high state, low state, real basic. When two people get together to talk about what's wrong in their relationship, they're in a great state, awesome, pumped, no. They're in a crap state, right? And they come together, crap state and crap state, and surprisingly, nothing gets better in the conversation. No roses out the butt. Everything's happy. No. What happens? Two people go to therapy, and there's two most common results. First result is that both people feel misunderstood by the practitioner, and the therapy fails. Very common. But the most overwhelming majority response that happens when people go to therapy or couples work is that one person feels completely understood and validated by the therapist or the person, and they're so happy, and the other person feels what?
Like
misunderstood completely, ganged up on, and they're out of there, and therapy fails. That's why couples work doesn't work. So everything that we do, everything that I'm going to teach you tonight, has nothing to do with needing your partner to jump on board. It's all for you, and it's personal development for you to trigger your partner. But trigger what's going to elevate your relationship and bring out the best in them and the best in you to create the relationship you really want. And so that's myth number 1. It only does take one. The second myth, I get this a lot. Love and passion lady, can you fix my husband? Hey lady, here's my wife. You fix her? And I often find myself saying, I'm not in the spouse fixing business. It's so natural, it's human nature to just point the finger and say, I'm not going to look at anybody in particular except the kid in the back on the poster. Sorry, kid. You suck because this is all your fault and you're just not doing it right. This is not how I thought it would be. It's very easy to blame the other person. But the truth is that, as I just showed you in that equation, you are your partner's trigger, whether you like it or not. I know you don't see how you're doing it. That's why I'm here. But it's the truth, because you're triggering, and the truth is that they know how you're going to respond. This is not their second day with you. They know what's coming next. They're counting on a certain response from you that they know they can get, and they're just going to fire off their old pattern too. And it keeps you stuck in a rut. And so here's what I say about blame. We have a zero blame policy in the work that we do. People start blaming or talking negatively about a partner. I refuse to allow it, because it all starts with you. And it's not about being like nice. I'm a nice person, but that's not why I do it. It's because when you blame, and you know what, in relationship or anywhere in life, when you blame someone else, you make yourself powerless, because nothing will change until they change. And you can't change anybody, and you never will. The only person you can change is yourself. You can influence someone else at best, but you can't change them. And so when you blame someone else and you leave the power to improve the situation in their hands, you are waiting powerless for something to change for you. I'm not about that. I'm not about that. So when you blame yourself, you're really saying, I'm just going to sit here and leave it up. Maybe he'll do something about it. Maybe he won't. And my happiness will, maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I don't like that. So that's why I say no blame. Because you're just doing yourself a disservice. And you only get one life here. This one. And so live it. So that's why I say that you are your partner's trigger. And when you empower yourself with the 8 essentials that I'm going to teach you tonight, you have all the power to influence them to create more of the positive result that you want. The third one is something that I hear a lot about people who are afraid that they have to be something that they're not to win at this relationship thing and make this relationship a go. Like, I feel like I have to be something that I'm not, and I get a little, I'm a really nice person, but I get a little hot-headed when I do hear a lot of other relationship experts and gurus saying things, talking about being something that you're not right now and compromising. I gotta call bullshit. Because you cannot possibly create an unshakable relationship being something that you're not. I mean, in what universe does that make sense? How are you going to do that if you're not being your most authentic self? And compromise, which by definition means doing something for someone else that you don't want to do. That's like trying to use willpower to drop weight. How long is that going to last? Until they bring the pizza out. So you can't. That's not, if you want to be with someone for one night, go right ahead, compromise. Go right ahead, be something you're not. But if this is more than a one night thing, that's just not going to work. It's certainly not long term. And so the opposite is what's actually true. That being who you really are, and all of the work that I'm going to show you, and the steps and the tools that I'm going to show you, it's actually all about stripping away all the stuff that we've built up over time. The contorting to please, and all right, I won't do that, and then you'll be happy, and this will be, and we won't, and that won't be fine, and then we won't, and then and everybody will like me, and we do that over time, becoming something we're not, trying to please others. And everything that I'm going to show you tonight is actually all about stripping away all that garbage because it didn't work anyway, and it felt like crap doing it, and getting back to who you really are. But not the like, oh, this is who I really am, and if you don't like it, screw you. Not that level. I hope that we have a higher standard for ourselves than that. Because authenticity is not that like, this is who I am, and if you don't like it, too bad. That's a great way to be lonely for a really long time. I'm talking about being your best and most authentic self. Committed to showing up tomorrow as an even better and more authentic self that you can be. And constantly taking yourself to the next level for you and for your partner. And so having that high standard means taking personal responsibility for understanding your partner, understanding yourself, and doing what it takes to create the relationship that you want. And so very often people will ask me like, will this work for me? And what situation? And I don't know for our situation. And so who will this work for? Well, like I said, if you're in a loving and caring relationship, but like the passion and the excitement and the fun has just fizzled over time, then for you it's about reigniting that passion, bringing that energy back and that fun so you can create that lust and desire to have that unleashed passion, hotter than it was in the beginning by far and getting hotter every day. If you're in the situation where you're kind of living as co-parents or roommates at this point and you need to rebuild a relationship to reignite the passion, that's the direction that you will go. If you're hanging by a thread, these 8 steps and 8 essentials are really designed to help you get to that place of healing and heartfelt compassion for your partner, and also give you really clear insights if you are aligned to be with this partner long term. And then if you're in a situation where you're divorced or heading for divorce, and we do not, by all means, we do not believe that every marriage is meant to last. Clearly, they're not. However, I also do believe that a lot of marriages end that don't need to, because people just don't know how to do it any other way. And so that's what the long-term alignment discovery process is for. But if it is not the right relationship for you, then these 8 steps will help you to rescue the relationship. Because while every marriage isn't meant to last, if you have children, every relationship can be rescued. And for your children's sake and your sake, because that relationship will go on until the day you die, you need to rescue that relationship so you can happily co-parent as you attract your forever love relationship and empower yourself with the tools to make that forever relationship the relationship you want. Or if you're in a great relationship and you want to take it to the next level, you already know that you're looking for more. So how do I know this? Well, very briefly, I will just say that it started with us. My husband and I today do have, and are blessed to have, an unshakable love and an unleashed passion. We didn't find it though, we created it. Because 15 years ago, we were hanging by a thread. Although my husband will tell you there was no thread. Because 15 years ago, we weren't married yet, but we were in a serious committed relationship, and Paul came to our house, our home, drove up in the driveway, and asked me to come inside and sit down so he could tell me that he was leaving. And so I sat there listening to him tell me why this is just not working, and it's not going to, and all the reasons why I've had one foot in and one foot out since the day we got together, and the reasons why it wouldn't work. And back then I wasn't the Stacey that you see today. Actually, at that point in my life, my nickname was the Ice Princess. I know, I see the puzzled look on the faces whenever I say that. I was very cold, completely unfeeling, get it done, no emotion, super achiever, corporate tax accountant, black suit, white shirt, ponytail, get it done, Ice Princess girl. Something needed to be done, people were a little afraid to do it, send in the Ice Princess. And so that was me, which didn't exactly come with a handbook for amazing relationships. So as I was sitting there on the couch, listening to Paul tell me all the reasons why this wasn't going to work, just like these shoes, I heard him. And in my head, I didn't disagree with him. And this wasn't exactly the first time I'd heard this speech. So that didn't surprise me, but what did surprise me was what started to happen, my reaction. Because the ice princess normally would have just looked at him and said, that's fine, I knew this wasn't going to work anyway, and you can leave my house now. But that's not what happened, because I started to feel the tears running down my cheeks. And that may seem like a very normal reaction to all of you very normal people, but to the ice princess, in the 4 years we had been together, Paul had never seen me cry. But what he didn't know and what was scaring the crap out of me was in the 10 years prior to that moment, I hadn't cried. And I just felt this intense pain in my heart. But until that moment, I actually didn't know I was in love with him. And so here I am listening to him tell me that it's never going to work. And I'm thinking, oh my God, but I just realized that I love you. What did I do? And I had this very unfortunate awakening, where in one moment I realized that all of this ice princessing, all of this protecting that I had been doing, all of this 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and you can only get so close to me, playing half-assed, didn't work. Because this hurt really, really bad, and it wasn't supposed to, right? That's why I did this. That's why I lived this way. And I had this realization that if I can't protect myself from the pain, and I love him, and I didn't know you could feel love like that, this surge of love, then, oh my God, I've been protecting myself, I've been staying out of things, I need to jump in, I can't protect myself anyway, so I might as well just play full out and do this, and stop pretending, and stop holding back, and just do this. And I'm like sobbing, and the tears, I guess when you don't cry for 10 years, you kind of have some stuff. So I'm like in the ugly cry, and it's going sobs and the snot, and I'm like, I'm having this spiritual awakening, like I should just love and open my heart. And I look up at Paul, who is clearly not having the same spiritual awakening that I am, as he looks at me with this like, holy shit, this could not be going any worse. I came to like, let's be friends, and you're breaking down, and I'm not prepared for that. And so I realized, you know what, I'm the only one who's had this awakening. And I might have just ruined the only chance that the universe was going to give me to actually love. And so I didn't have any tools. I didn't have any skills to speak of. I wasn't this. I was Ice Princess. So I did the only thing I could think of to do in the moment. You can absolutely judge me if you want. It's just the truth of what happened. I begged him.